That was some video of Maya Millete, or May, as her loved ones called her. She is that mother of three who went missing back in January of this year. Now, 9 months later, a bittersweet break in the case for the once lively mother who enjoyed life, the outdoors, and as you can see here in this video, playing guitar. On Tuesday of this week, her husband, Larry Millete, was arrested and charged with her murder. This after police revealed a barrage of evidence linking him to the sinister crime. I'm joined now by Maya's sister, Mary Chris Droulet, and her husband, Richard Droulet. First of all, I just want to say thank you to you both for your time, for coming on Court TV today, and our hearts break for you. Our deepest sympathies and condolences, and I know it can't be easy to talk to members of the media like us about something that is so personal and so awful. First of all, let me ask you how you're doing, because what a whirlwind this has been for you. And with that news on Tuesday, and Mary Chris, I'll go to you first, please, and then to you, Richard. How are you holding up?
It's been really hard. 9 months of not knowing where a loved one is it's been a nightmare for us. And and within those 9 months, I was still hoping, we find her, alive and well. And Tuesday was, I guess, like the heartbreaking news that I don't really want it to hear, or I don't really want it to happen. But it is what it is. But it's been really hard. It's heartbreaking, and I still can't wrap my head around it. I'm still in denial. That she's actually, gone, and the word, murdered, is still. It's very hurtful for a family to hear that a loved one is murdered. I still can't take it at this time. I'm still in denial. I'm still in denial.
Understandably so, Mary Chris. We watched the press conference the other day where you stood up. You were so strong and so brave to talk to everyone. And you can just see how beloved you are, all of the people who are supporting you and your husband and all of your family, and May, her children, and how they were actually shouting at you, "We love you, Mary Chris, we love you." And I remember you saying one of the toughest things about this is that not only was your sister murdered, but the person suspected of doing it is your family member, your brother-in-law, someone that you said was with your family for 20 years, and that your sister loved him so much. That's got to be contributing to this being so hard to even wrap your head around.
Yeah, they've been together since they were 18 years old. He's been with us since then. And, he has a family. We loved him. And that is so heartbreaking. That's so painful to go against a family. He is a family. He's the father of my two nieces and my nephew. His back in January, when I called in and called the police department for my missing sister, we already got the feeling that he might have something to do with my sister's disappearance that day, but I didn't want to believe it, because he is the father of my nieces and nephew. And without their mom, they're going to lose their dad too. So it's just thinking about the kids, the children going through this trauma and not having their mom, and now not having their dad, and be called a murderer. It's really painful.
I can't even imagine. And the trauma those children are going through, as you said. I mean, it's really hard to even fathom what they're going through and how they're doing. And Richard, to that end, so many people wondering how the children are. And I know that when you both were talking with my colleague Vinnie Politan the other night, you had mentioned not even being able to see them because they're with members of Larry's family. What, if anything, can you share about how the kids are doing and how you're doing as well, please?
I'm doing okay. Just, here supporting my wife like any loving
Hmm.
husband would do during these circumstances. But that day on Tuesday, when they called us about Larry's being arrested for the murder of Maya, our first thoughts were the kids. Are we going to be able to see the kids now? Will this expedite, our visitation with them? But unfortunately, we haven't had that opportunity to actually hang out with the kids and talk to them and just show them, that their mom loved them and that she didn't abandon them, because that was the story that Larry came up, that Maya just got up and walked away from their family, and that's not true. We know that's not true. She would have never just left the house like without her kids. Um, and that's the heartbreaking. I just wish we could see them and just talk to them and hang out and show them that we love them and that we're waiting for them to come home.
Right. And speaking of what was done and not done, I read through the affidavit of probable cause for his arrest warrant on these murder charges, and some of the things that jumped out at me, and there were many things, many very sinister things that I do want to get to, but they detail just the extensiveness of this investigation. It was 9 months long, 66 search warrants served, 87 witnesses interviewed, 128 tips followed up on, numerous searches were conducted to find beautiful Maya, and Larry did not participate in any of those searches, not a one. And to me, that omission speaks volumes. Your thoughts on that, please, Richard?
Yeah, and from the beginning, we've always asked him to come and join the family. We're not accusing him of anything. He never He never put his part in searching for Maya. Everything he said about him going out and searching at places that she would go visit was a lie. Um, we never pointed our fingers at him. Wanted, we just had a lot of questions, so he had all the answers, and so he literally pretty much one by one blacklisted the family from visiting his house, and it was at that moment it was just obvious that he had something to do with Miles' disappearance, and he just made himself look like a suspect from the beginning. Um, and yeah, he never put any input in finding his wife.
I want to talk to you about how he made himself look like a suspect and get your views on that, please. Just looking at some of the things jumping out in the affidavit, the police are characterizing this as a domestic violence case, saying that he was controlling and abusive and went to sinister lengths to try to control her when she was saying, this marriage is over and I am going to file for divorce, actively taking steps to do that. And he is doing things so sinister as contacting spellcasters, something the DA said, I have never in all my years heard of any defendant doing this, but to try to do that to control her. Mary Chris, talk to me about this. Have you seen anything? And I know hindsight is 2020. But have you seen anything, throughout the course of their relationship where you thought he's being controlling or being abusive to your sister?
I know the controlling part is. I haven't really seen the abusive part of it. The controlling, yes, he would, make the decisions himself, and try to. If you, it's always been him. It's like, with the cars, with their finances. Maya doesn't even have, well, he controlled the finances. She makes more money, but he controls it. With their cars, she have to ask him for money for shopping, those kind of things. So he controls everything, and uh, again, being the violent, we never really seen him like violent, because my sister doesn't really want us to worry about her. She never really mentioned anything about that. But then last year alone, when their marriage was really going down, it's been rocky. My Larry was been calling every single one of us, asking us for help, advices on, help, trying to ask for help to fix their marriage. He's been asking. He's been really desperate. He called my dad almost every day to ask my dad to talk to my sister. That she's doing this, she's doing that. So he's asking the whole family to intervene, and we tried. We tried to help them, but um, she was ready. She was ready to file for the divorce.
Right, right. Mary Chris and Richard, I have so many more questions for you. If you're able to stay with us, we would love to keep talking with you. We just need to take a quick break. Is that okay? Can you stay with us?
Excellent.
That's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah,
Thank you
thank you.
kindly. Okay, we're going to be right back with Mary Chris and Richard Droulet right after this and talk more about their missing loved one, Maya Millete. Her husband, Larry Millete, is behind bars right now, set to be arraigned later today on homicide charges in his wife's death. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We have a very special interview for you happening right now on a case we've been covering for many, many months when Maya Millete disappeared from Chula Vista, California. We've been following this case, and finally a major break this week with police arresting and charging her husband, Larry Millete, with her murder. But she still hasn't been found, and her family wants her to be brought back home so that they can have some bit of closure in this heartbreaking case. This afternoon, Maya's sister, Mary Chris Droulet, and her husband, Richard Droulet, are giving of their time to speak with us about this case and what they're going through. Thank you both so much for staying with us here on Court TV.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, our hearts break for you. And one thing that we talk about a lot on Court TV, and especially this month in particular, is domestic violence. October, as you know, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And where we left off before the break, we were talking about these allegations of Larry being controlling. And domestic violence is about power and control. And I remember in the press conference, the district attorney and the chief of police saying that there was this triggering event which is often the case in domestic violence homicides. When a victim leaves, that is often the most dangerous time for them because the abuser has lost control. And so here it seems that this triggering event was Maya, or May, as many of her loved ones called her, was done, very dissatisfied with the marriage, had made an appointment with a divorce lawyer, and Larry knew about it. I want to, if I can, share with me first. Let's talk about just the divorce. How much of her dissatisfaction with the marriage were you aware of, Mary Chris?
I guess it's his contribution over the years too. Again, it's that controlling effect. I mean, that controlling behavior that Larry have done, over the years, and she's just been finally, done with it. It's been years, of, I guess, that mounted into, the last that she got to the point where this is it. It's not working out. But yeah, it took years. I knew that. It's been up and down, but I know she's been kind of wanting to break it, but she tried because of the kids. It's always been, put them together with the kids. But then I think just last year, actually just the breaking point of her saying no, she's done. But I guess 20 years of marriage too. She tried.
I know she was a very devoted mother and even wanted to make that appointment with the divorce lawyer not conflict with one of her kids' birthdays. So she had set the appointment for after the birthday so that there could be a party and celebration. And so much of this is detailed in law enforcement's investigation and what they drafted in this affidavit supporting the arrest of Larry. One thing that jumped out at me was police noted that May had once confided in a friend that in the past Larry had choked her until she passed out. Did she ever share that with you?
No, no, she never did. Again, it's like we don't really, share that. We don't bring the problem into the family unless it's really to the point where we're ready to share it. We're close, but not open with with the problems that we have, which I think that should changed. I think with the family we should be able to open up with the family, but then she was more I guess comfortable sharing it with her friends. That's the way I feel at times too. uh, but when she was ready to tell us, about the divorce, she did tell us about it in January, that New Year weekend that we were together.
Something else very sinister in this affidavit that law enforcement was able to uncover. Larry had actually found companies that purport to sell spells that can be cast on people. And it's so sinister because at first they said he was trying to have a spell cast on May so that she would just love him and stay in the marriage. And then it gets really sinister. And we actually have a direct quote from one of these email communications from him where he is saying, please punish May and incapacitate her enough so she can't leave the house. It's time to take the gloves off. And I'm quoting directly here. Mary, Chris, what did you think when you learned about this?
I know it just breaks my heart that he actually that he went to that extent of trying to keep my sister. It's like desperation. I know we knew he was desperate. We knew that, but I didn't know he went to that extent to do that for my sister. He couldn't let go. Just couldn't let go.
That's exactly it. It's the power and control dynamic that is the heart of domestic violence. Many people think it's about anger management. It's not. It's about abuse in many forms that is kept secret, kept away from people that love the person who's being victimized. That's why these crimes are really, really tough, because there's a manipulative aspect to them. And speaking of manipulation, I understand, and I'll give this question to you, please, Richard. The affidavit also talks about a New Year's trip where Larry was asking a family member if he knew anyone to, quote, get the other guy. Because the arrest warrant details that Maya was involved with someone else and that Larry had found out about the affair and had developed this fixation on whoever the other person is. What can you tell us about that, please?
Really, I don't know much about that situation. I know that the police looked into it after the fact that Maya went disappearing, but I believe that they couldn't find that other person. There was no other person. I think that was all in his head.
There was.
There was? Okay. See,
No, but
I don't know much.
sorry,
I don't know
let me
No, it's
details.
okay. Share with me what you can. Thank you.
Yeah. So what we knew, okay, because there is Larry, as I said, Larry has been talking to us, every single one of us, the siblings. If I say us, it will be the sibling, trying to help him out. And he did share it with us that Maya was seeing somebody, but it's always been his speculation that she's seeing someone, and it never been proven. And yeah,
That's
so
interesting. So
he
to be
had
clear, did Maya ever share with you that she was having an affair or seeing anyone else while she was married to Larry?
no, 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 no. Even with her friends, she never had that like boyfriend girlfriend kind of thing. No, no.
So this was all
And that's
coming from Larry.
Right, it's all coming from him. Yeah, and then he actually was very suspicious of everyone that she worked with. That I'm not sure if it's even in the affidavit that he asked her supervisor if they could move, the her male coworker and not work with her. So yeah, so he tried to manipulate everyone.
This is just unbelievable. So he was even going to the extent of contacting her workplace to try to control who was around her.
Yes.
Ugh. Did she share anything about this? I know you said that she was private, and was she aware that he called her boss and did this?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It was a big thing. It was there was an investigation at work that was done because she does hold a high position at work. So there was an investigation that was done, and it was all proven negative. I mean, um, it, it was what I'm saying. It was not proven that they're having a relationship. So yeah, but there was a big investigation that was done at work.
Tell me, with so much focus on your beautiful sister going missing and the search to try to find her still that's going on today, what do you wish you would be asked when you do interviews? What do you wish you could share about your sister? I want to give you that opportunity, please, and to you as well, Richard.
My sister, she's a loving mother. I just, as you could see in her picture, even her kids are her life. She has, she has some. She dresses her kids the same way as she dressed last Christmas. They came to our Christmas party having the same clothing, the same dresses. So her kids, that's her priority. And she's a loving mother. She loves the outdoor. She loves our family. She doesn't want us to worry about her. It's she's a sweet mom. She just love going out and being with the family, camping outdoors. We're almost you know the, the same. We love the whole family.
Yeah.
Her kids. I'm so sorry.
No, don't you be sorry. You have nothing to be sorry for. We're so sorry you're going through this. She was obviously a beautiful, beautiful woman and beloved by so many, smart, caring, a great mom. Tell me, and I wish we could talk to you, all day, and we invite you back on the program anytime you're able as you continue in this effort to try to find your sister. Tell me, what, if anything, do you want to say to Larry right now?
I just want my sister back. I mean, I just want to know where she is. We just wanted to at least a proper burial for her. We just give her back to us. Just give her back to her family and let his kids know where their mom's at. Just do that for his kids. Just do that favor for his kids. That's all I'm asking. We just want our sister home. That's it. That's it.
We certainly
Thank
understand
you.
that. Of course, thank you. Richard, anything you would like to add to what your wife just said?
No, she said it all. Just
Yeah.
your children deserve to know what their mom is at. I mean, no one's that evil. No one's that evil. Larry, just please tell us where you put Maya's body at. We know you did it now. Everything's already in the open. Just do that. Do that one thing for us. That's it. That's all we need. Well, that's all we're asking.
Richard and Mary Chris Droulet, thank you so much for sharing your time, your experiences with us. So every good wish to you both as things progress.
Thank you.
Take good care.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice. I'm your midday host, Julie Grant. As you know, we've been following the case of the disappearance of Maya Millete since January. And we know we got that news this week. So heartbreaking. but also shedding a lot of light as to what may have happened to her. We know that her husband, Larry Millete, has been charged with her death. Her body still hasn't been found. And if you're just now tuning in, we were just speaking with her sister, Mary Chris, and her husband, Richard, about Maya's disappearance and how all they want is for her to be brought home. They want her to have a proper burial. They want to see her again. This is a poster that they're circulating around that they shared with us here at Court TV with the hashtag Bring Maya Home. And we know that the defendant drove a black Lexus that was believed to be seen driving away from the home and presumably dumping Maya, or May, as she's been known to her friends and family's body, somewhere in the desert. But the area is so vast, law enforcement is having such a tough time locating her. It's a black Lexus, a GX 460 is the type of Lexus it is. And they are just begging for anyone who might have seen it stopped on the side of the road to call in tips. And also they really need help in the search on the ground. Anybody who's willing to donate their time in the Chula Vista, California area to come and help them look. They're still searching to try to bring their loved one home. Let me bring in for some analysis criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf. He's standing by in Denver on the program today. Jeffrey, I know you heard me speaking with Mary Chris and Richard and detailing some of the things in the affidavit of probable cause attached to the arrest warrant for Larry Millete. And we saw the DA remarking in the press conference that in all the years, she's never had a case where someone in a domestic violence homicide case has gone to the lengths of reaching out to spellcasters to try to control their victim. Your thoughts on that, please?
Well, I mean, certainly I don't think probably anybody has seen that, because that is such a wild, sensational fact of this story. What a tragedy, and so hard to hear the family talk. I think it was really heartening to see that they're just not coming from a place of hatred and revenge. They're coming from a place of wanting answers and just surprise. And you can see the genuine emotion that they're going through. And we're starting to see a lot more of these domestic violence disappearance cases, and your airways are covering them. And we're seeing that what seems like such a, how could they possibly charge this person? They don't even have a body. All of a sudden you show up at trial and you're getting the answers. You know, there was the red wine case with the son. There are two more cases out here just in Colorado where all of a sudden, when the trial started, we start to see all this, actual forensic evidence that's backing up what's in that affidavit that's made public, right? And so it's very troubling. I think you made a good point about domestic violence being about control more so than anger or any cycle of anger.
Thank you for that, Jeffrey. Yeah, these different messages that he sent, his words that we know are going to be used against him, I thought were really used brilliantly by the state of California in putting together this investigation, because they're saying they show homicidal ideations, even though we don't have her body yet, and we may never get her body. Hopefully they do. Hopefully for the family's sake they will. But in the meantime, they can at least use some of these wild things like these spells and these messages to show what he wanted to do and his intent with his wife. Got to leave it there. Jeffrey Wolf, you're going to stay with us. Want you to stay with us. When we come back, we'll get you caught up on the case out of Brunswick over the killing of Ahmaud Arbery.